Today, I'm joined by Claudia Quiroz, who is the fund manager of the Climate Assets Fund. So, Claudia, the fund invests in companies that are making a positive contribution to the world. How many firms are in your investable universe, and what are the main ethical values that you are looking for in a company?
Thank you, Kyle. Our universe is about 1,000 companies around the world. And what these companies are doing that we like is providing solutions to the challenges of climate change, population growth, and resource scarcity. So it's very much about solution providers to environmental challenges.
And when those ethical values are no longer or they're not being met, suppose that the ultimate power that you have is to divest from a holding. Has that happened on occasions?
It does, and sometimes it's the last resource, and it comes to mind twice. First, many years ago, 2012, 2013, we used to have holdings in the fund that they will play in the value chain of natural gas. And the reason it was that back then, we all believed that natural gas will play a game or will play a part in decarbonizing the economy, and we realized that that wasn't the case, and then we divested from those. And more recently, Kingspan comes to mind, and Kingspan has been a long-standing holding for the company, a company that provides building insulation very much on the environmentally issue of lower energy consumption. However, we were quite uncomfortable with the response of the company and the culture that we discovered regarding the Grenfell Tower inquiry, and that we decided as a team to divest from the Climate Assets Fund. Interesting enough, Quilt Achievement as a company didn't divest because our team of analysts and our responsible investing team, they continue to engage with the company, and the company has made incredible effort and progress, and we are really happy with that. But we felt that for climate assets, it didn't really meet the highest standards that we look for in companies.
And around 10% of the fund is in UK assets. Could you give us a flavour of what those assets are by naming a couple of companies that you own?
Of course. So the UK is an interesting space for us because we continue to favour equities over bonds. But when it comes to looking at markets, we favour international markets. The UK has become quite constrained, and especially when you are trying to identify solution providers to climate change, we don't have many. And that's one of the reasons that we are quite underweight the UK, only 10% exposure. We invest in companies like Halma, very much an instrumentation company, very well managed. They play in the health and safety space, either for industrials or healthcare, and they will do things like detection of leakage in water pipes and also diagnostic instrumentation for eye defects and personal care. So very much a wide spread of instrumentation. We also invest in Unite. Unite is private student accommodation, very much working with the universities to provide accommodation to students. And because of COVID, some of these companies in the space were undervalued. People was worrying about students going back and about payments and things like that. And we took the opportunity to invest in this company. So it's one of our new holdings. Very much a company that is well managed. They raised to their social duty, and they were really helping the tenants during the COVID pandemic. And they have a very solid environmental plan for net zero by 2030, which we really like.
Ethical and sustainable funds have attracted a lot more interest than they have done ever before, really, over the past couple of years. What do you think has been the main driver behind that?
That is very right. So I've been involved in sustainable investment for nearly 20 years, and in the last 3 or 5 years, I have really noticed that change, the awareness, the amount of queries that we receive, the interest in the strategy, and everybody understands what sustainable investing is and what ESG is. We don't need to explain it anymore. So it's really a transformation in the last 2 or 3 years. The drivers, I will mention 3 drivers. First of all, awareness on climate change. from Greta Thunberg to David Attenborough. And we also have experienced a push from the regulator, and our advisors need to be asking our clients about this, so people are getting educated and interested in the space. Of course, all about investing. We mentioned that the stimulus for the economy, it have a color which it was green, and all governments are talking about building back better and building greener, and that makes an impact. And potentially also the wealth transfer, and the millennials are very aware of climate change, and when they are being incorporated in decision making, we manage to attribute a lot of wealth for families. And when the millennials are part of the conversation, they know that they can demand that we manage their money in line with their own values, and they want solutions for climate change. So those are most of the drivers that they come to mind.
And finally, a question that we ask all fund managers that we interview: do you personally invest in the Climate Assets Fund?
Yes, that's a very good question. Skin in the game, as people say. Absolutely. More than half of my savings are invested in the fund. And it's an interesting question because it's not required in the UK to disclose that, but for example, in the United States, the SEC has required that type of disclosure and transparency for many years. So it might be something that it will be very natural for us to disclose going forward.
Claudia, thank you very much for your time today.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the invitation.